Hi cuties, and welcome to the August wrap-up. My most shameful month yet, where I did complete the TBR, but I did not read as much as I wanted to this month, because I did a TikTok filter a bit ago, and it told me I needed to read 30 books this month. That did not happen. I only read a shameful 18 books. I know, you're all horribly disappointed in me, and I should just cancel my whole channel at this point. What, is that even worth reviewing 18 books? I'll stop hating on myself for a hot second now. 18 wasn't my best, but it's also my worst. But we're gonna kick it off with our reviews, our 18. I'm gonna try to go through them as quickly as I can because I know that gets really boring for a lot of people, and also there's so many. So we're gonna kick it off with a 5-star read, and that is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I understand the hype now. I remember when this came out and it was ridiculously hyped, and I was just like, King Arthur retelling stuff, because I'm not usually a fan of King Arthur retellings. This one though, amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I'm literally starting the sequel today. The day that I'm filming this, we're queuing that up for after filming stuff today as I'm reading Bloodmarked. Absolutely adored it. It doesn't do the usual King Arthur stuff that usually makes me not like it, because there's always like that cheating plot line with the Guinevere, Lancelot, Arthur thing, and that's what I don't like in a lot of retellings. This one didn't do that. It flips everything on its head and talks a lot more about like racism and the history of like a secret society and what those secret societies are really built on and stuff. And so I loved this. This was fantastic. I believe this is my signed copy. Yeah, because this was Owl Crate. Owl Crate, when I used to have Owl Crate. Yeah. Not their best copy though, because they could have done more. But loved it. Next up, we read Spark by Alice Broadway. This is the sequel to Ink. It was really difficult finding a hardcover copy. It's even more difficult to try to find a hardcover copy of the third book, Scar. So if anybody knows where I can get a hardcover of it, let me know, because I need them all to match. But I did only give this one 3 stars. It's fine. It's dystopian YA. I definitely liked the first book more than this one. I'm still intrigued enough to want to know the sequel. I just feel like this was way too short for everything it was that I thought it was going to be doing. So I feel like it needed a lot more. And then honestly, you probably could have put this one and then the third one together into one book and just made them a duology, and that would have been fine. They're still beautiful, like no matter what you look at, they're gorgeous. But if anybody knows where I can get a hardcover copy of that third book, let me know, because I don't want a paperback. I need them to match. Next up, another 5-star read. I think a lot of the 5-star reads, I only read 3 5 stars this month. 2 of them were not on the TBR, but that is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brando Sando. I absolutely loved this. Wow, everything's falling. I loved this so much. I didn't know what it was going to be about when I went into it. All the secret projects, I'm kind of just like letting them happen as they go. And this was so fun, and I loved it. And then I loved listening to the author's notes and stuff afterwards about how they were, he was inspired by watching Princess Bride and how Buttercup doesn't do much, and they wanted to flip that. And I loved it. I loved the twists in this. I was really scared it was going to do some things that I wasn't going to be happy with, but I'm 100% just so absolutely happy with this. I love the banter in this. I love the adventure. I love these characters so much. I love that it's Hoyt that's talking and telling us the story, because that's just so fun. And I'm really excited to read the Frugal Wizard, the Frugal Handbook, the next one in his secret projects. I'm literally going to be reading that this month as well. It's already in my Libby app. It's already downloaded and ready to rock and roll. So I'm just really excited about these secret projects. They're so fun, and yes. Next up was another brand new release, and that was The Surviving Sky by Kritika H. Rao. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, and I think that is a mistake, because they should be talking about this. This is a very interesting kind of dystopian sci-fi, but with a solar punk flair to it, and with I don't want to say Hindu culture, but like Indian cultures, a variety of cultures, and like the world many years after kind of an apocalypse has happened, where they have these architects that keep them in the sky, and then going down to the surface is dangerous. And it's a very much a story of this married couple as well, and their struggles in their marriage, which usually isn't my thing. I tend to not want to read about like marital drama and strife and stuff, but it worked really well in this, and I like that we got both POVs. We got to see a lot going on. There's so many twists and turns with this. I think a lot of people might be sleeping on this book because I was really into it. I did only give it 4 based on some of the stuff that does happen, but I'm very anxious to read the next book in this whenever that comes out. But yeah, literally on the book back it says a book to get lost in, and that is the blurb by Tasha Suri, who I've never read anything by Tasha Suri, but like, yes, it is a book to get lost in. Shannon Chakraborty blurbed it as well. Truly unlike anything I've ever read. Extremely original and thought-provoking. That's also incredibly true. Suni Dean also blurbed this. So like, my trusted favorite authors have blurbed this, and they're not wrong. This book is so good. Don't sleep on it. If you like if you want to read like a solar punk kind of thing, go for it, because that's a really well done solar punk. Another 4-star, we continued Mistborn with Shadows of Self by Brando Sando. I only got a couple books left of Mistborn available to fully read. We really focused on continuing series this month. I did do a lot of that. I liked Alloy of Law a little more than Shadows of Self. I think that's because my boy Wayne, I didn't like exactly his character in this one, and Wayne was my favorite in the first book, and then he just does a lot of stuff and says a lot of stuff that I wasn't a huge fan of in this one, so hopefully that will improve in the next one. What's the next one called? I forget. Bands of Mourning. Bands of Mourning. We'll see. Next up, we continued a series up to publication, which is the sequel to The Bone Spindle, and that is The Severed Thread by Leslie Vedder. I love this series so much. It's a weird Sleeping Beauty retelling, also Red Riding Hood sort of, kind of, maybe. I really like these characters. I like them a lot. I definitely still think I like The Bone Spindle more than this one, but by a minuscule amount. Again, it's just like certain choices that are made that I'm like, okay. But I'm very excited for the finale, because this is a trilogy. And I like them. I love, Shane is so fun. I love Shane so much. I love Fee as well. Because Fee and Shane are the main 2 characters. And then we have Briar and Red. We got a lot more of their POVs in this one as well. But I love their friendship is so fun. And I just love Shane's attitude. She's an axe-wielding badass, okay? I love Shane so much. So I am excited about the 3rd one. And that's all I'll say about that, because I don't want to spoil. We read a somewhat disappointing. We read The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. This one annoyed me for a few different reasons, and one of them is the constant Harry Potter references. Like, do people understand that to be a bookish person, we don't only read Harry Potter? Read a lot more. And she came off as a super snob, like absolutely snob, about, oh, do you even read kind of stuff, which I found very annoying. And I wanted to relate to her because she has kind of the anxiety. She is suddenly thrust into having this big family that she didn't know she had. And I just found her a little bit insufferable. And I didn't quite believe the romance that happens in it. So it felt like everyone needed to bend to her will, and she wouldn't bend for anyone else, you know? She wouldn't compromise, and she wouldn't really try to relate to other people and understand that reading isn't, like, and this is coming from me who reads like crazy, reading isn't everything, and other people can have other hobbies, and you don't need to only read to, yeah, I didn't really like her character very much. So I did give this only 3 stars. I like some of the side characters more than anything, but kind of disappointing. A shocking book where I was enjoying it and then I absolutely hated it so much was The Devil of Nanking by Mo Hader. I enjoyed this at first. I think we could have done without the modern day POV with Grey, because I hated her, and we could have just told this story in the past or from the professor's point of view. I forget his name already. What's his name? But she's like obsessively trying to figure out what happened in Nanking because she read a book when she was a kid, and apparently that alone sent her to a mental institution by her parents. And also she's kind of like a sex maniac and has a lot of mental issues that I don't think were represented well at all. And I just really hated her character. I hated her so much. But I liked the other half of this book, which was talking about the people in Nanking at the time of the horrible massacre and all the atrocities that actually happened at the time. And that's like, if we could have cut this book down into just that narrative, and this would have been a 5-star read. But because there was so much of Grey and her life, like she just goes to Japan and I'm like, and just stays. And I'm like, how? Because where's your visa? For one, you need a visa. And you need a work visa if you're gonna work, and or a school, you need all these things. You can't just like go there and stay. That's not how it works. Even when this is set in like 1989 or whatever, like there were visas and things you had to get in order to just stay long-term in Japan. And she goes there with absolutely no money to track down this like the logic of it did not make sense to me. And just her behavior in general, I hated the twist, especially with her character about why she's sensitive about people seeing a certain part of her body and what she did. Like, oh, girls messed up. Next up, we read Loki's Ring by Stina Leicht, and I wanted to like this. I just found myself fairly bored by it. I had a really hard time connecting. I liked when we got to the ending where we were actually in Loki's ring and there were like these crazy alien situations. That was the most interesting, but so much of this book just felt boring to me that I just wasn't in it. I was really sad about not liking it because I was highly anticipating this one, but I ended up just not caring a whole lot. And the ending didn't satisfy me either, but it might work for other people, it just did not work for me very well. We finally checked off a 23 of 2023 that was also on the TBR, and that is Unbirthday by Liz Braswell. This is one of my new, probably top 5 in the Twisted Tales. I really liked this one. I liked how Alice's character was, you know, we're growing up more and going back to Wonderland, and also dealing with this stuff in regular London, and the slight little romance there, and all the topsy-turviness, the kind of horrific reality of Wonderland now was very interesting. And yeah, I like this. This is, I don't know where it sits in the top 5, but it's definitely top 5 material for how much I enjoyed this one. So Twisted Tales can really be hit or miss for me. But it does depend on the author, and Liz Braswell tends to sit at solid 4s, which is what I did give this one. Usually like Elizabeth Lim is my top Twisted Tale author, and then Liz Braswell, and then Jen Kalanida's down there. I tend to avoid the Jen Kalanidas ever since I read Mirror Mirror, and I have 2 more Jen Kalanida ones to read, and I'm scared because I've not heard great things about them. Haven't read Farrah Rashan's Almost There, although it is in my Libby app right now, or it's about to be. I still have like 2 weeks to wait on it, but I intend to read that one. We'll see where Farrah Rashan sits in the Twisted Tale authors ranking. Next up, I did an entire video about this already, and that is The Secret Life of Sofonisba Anguissola by Melissa Muldoon. I gave this one 4 stars as well. It took me a while to get into it, but also I was reading it as an ebook, but I really enjoyed this. I liked this other side of history that we don't know about. We don't know about this woman. We should have known about this woman. Very interesting story. I participated in the book tour for it, so you can go check out that video to get a more in-depth review of that. And we read a 5-star that I didn't expect to be a 5-star because it's a classic, sort of. It's from the 70s, but it's written by Julie Andrews, and that's Mandy. And this is kind of a little orphan story that was very charming, and I was just kind of, it was very delightful. It brought me back into like being a kid and watching Anne of Green Gables. It felt like that. Like Mandy feels like Mandy and Anne would have been really good friends. They would have been kindred spirits. And I really like this. And it's written by Julie Andrews. So like, what? The whole time I'm physically reading this book, I'm just hearing Julie Andrews' voice. But it's very, very cute. Mandy is this little orphan girl who discovers this abandoned cottage and starts fixing it up herself in secret and kind of gets into some shenanigans because she's trying to really keep that secret. Why is my camera just constantly finding faces behind me? Anyway, Mandy was great. This was 5. If you need a good kind of quick classic to put you in that nostalgic mood, pick up Mandy. Then we read The Depths by Nicole L'Esperance. This is also an Owl Crate edition, I believe. Are you Owl Crate? Are you? Yes, this is Owl Crate edition. Snazzy sent this to me. Thank you, Snazzy. I really liked this. I went in not thinking I wasn't gonna like this as much because I tend to not care about like mysteries and thrillers and stuff, but this has a kind of a ghost aspect, but more than a ghost aspect, it had kind of, I don't want to say zombie, but an undead aspect that was very fun. And the twist, like I called the twist, but I was just waiting for that twist to happen. And when it did, and the powers that manifested, the way the island reacts and stuff, I liked this a lot. I thought it was very interesting, a very different take on a lot of like island horrors that you normally would find. I just really loved the take on ghosts. The ghost take on this was really fun. So I did end up giving this 4 whole stars. And yeah, I just really liked it. It's really great. Good times. I'm being succinct, right? Or am I just being annoying? Can't tell. I finally read it. I finally read A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kember, guys. Finally happened. I don't have to panic about unhauling this book. However, I am unhappy. This switches POVs. We no longer have Harper as a main POV. We get her once. So the first book has Harper, Ren, and Gray, I think, as the POVs, and this one has Harper, like a small bit of Harper, a small bit of Ren, and then it's Gray and a new character named Leah Mara. And I didn't hate their story, so I had to treat this completely separate from A Curse So Dark and Lonely. That's what this is sequel to. I don't think I said that. Because the Gray and Leah Mara story is really interesting and I liked it alone. What I didn't like is that it totally turns everything on top of its head from what we read in the first book. It makes Ren such a almost ludicrous level of madness and violence that I'm like, that's not Ren anymore. It didn't feel right. And then Harper kind of being cast off as not a damsel in distress, but just a non-player. And I didn't like that because I really connected with Harper in the first book. And so I wanted more of her. But so I had to just stop and disconnect from A Curse So Dark and Lonely and treat this as its own thing. I'm really nervous to go into A Vow So Bold and Deadly and see how this actually concludes because I'm really scared of what it's going to do to these characters that I love so much. I really liked a lot of the new characters they brought in. The little character of Tycho. There's a character named Tycho, spelled the same way as my friend Tycho, was nice. I liked that we saw more of Jake and Noah. I do wish we had we see a little bit more, because Jake and Noah are supposed to be dating, but I don't actually feel any like romance between the two of them, and I kind of wish that we got to see a little bit more caring between them other than just they're always together. So it doesn't make me totally believe that they love each other. But they're stuck in this land, so that's been fun. I liked Gray a lot. I always liked Gray. I liked him in the first book, but it just really made Ren be the true villain. And I was like, wait. So we just unlearned everything from the first book? I don't know. Another one that's, honestly, you can get this book for the art alone. This is Beneath the Moon by Yoshi Yoshitani. It is a collection of fairy tales, myths, and divine stories from around the world. It's mostly summaries. They don't actually do the full retelling of stuff or just telling of the stories. It's summaries, but the art that's in these is great. I love each one. Each one is a page long. So like if you're reading these to kids, not all of them, don't read all of them, read them first. There's a couple in here that I'm like, don't read that to a child. And there's a few in here that you can just read to a kid as a little like bedtime story kind of thing. And that would be fine, but I gave it 3 just because like the art's really, really great, but I wanted more than just summaries of these tales. Another fairly big disappointment was Tales of the Slayer Volumes 1 and 2. This was a bomb book. I'm kind of sad that I wasted time on it. I didn't like it very much. I gave it 2.5. There were a few stories in here that were fine. There was one story in particular I was very upset about. One of the characters in this, one of the older Slayers, is of Romani descent, but she refers to herself as a gypsy, which in modern day right now we know that's not the word you use, and that's not a word any Romani would use for themselves. So that made that knocked down stars. Other ones were just boring. They had an episode, basically they did an episode of Buffy in the beginning, and it's like a time travel moment that I felt like did nothing. That's like, what was the point of that story? It did absolutely nothing for anything for the Buffy story. It didn't enhance anything. It was really stupid. Also, the 1 star. We have a 1-star read this month, and that is Children of Light by Aaron Powers. This is an indie book. I don't know what's wrong with cis white men and their indie books, but my God. Now, this didn't have the usual problems that I often face with cis white men. This one had a lot of fat shaming. Like every 2 sentences there is a character, and it's not a girl character, it's a boy character, a villain who is just, his name is Bolus, like a bolus shot for diabetics. So that's great. And every 2 seconds it was talking about his weight, his flub, his pudgerina, like all of this. Every time there was a scene, he's the fat man, and that's literally what the characters call him, the fat man, and then just have to accentuate that by poking at how blubbery he is and stuff, and I just hated every 2 seconds. There's only 2 female characters in this entire book. One is fridged immediately, the other is barely there. There was also a ton of religious kind of propaganda. It was like Presbyterians versus Catholics. It was Presbyterian versus Methodist, I guess, is really what it is. No, but they talk about Catholicism. I was sold this book, and this is another time where it's like people are just trying to sell their books and will do anything to do it, because I was told this is an urban fantasy with superpowers. It's not that at all. It is completely not that. There is no, like, it's not a superpower, it's not a superhero story. This is just a lot of religion and a lot of fat shaming and a main character who doesn't even speak. Like, you don't learn his name. He doesn't actually even have a real name because they give him a name. Also, Tycho, spelled differently with an I instead of a Y. There was 2 books this month with Tycho in it. Very strange. But I hated this. I'm disappointed, and I'm losing faith in indie books. When I go and I meet authors at conventions and I ask them what their book is about, and it's like they judge what I will probably like and then tell me that's what it is, and it's just a flat out lie, because this keeps happening to me and I don't know what to do about it. It's annoying. Anyway, what wasn't annoying, well, at least we finished the month strong with a 4.5, and that is Sense and Second Degree Murder by Tears of Price. This is the 2nd book in the Jane Austen murder mysteries. So the first one is Pride and Premeditation, which was fine. I liked this one a lot more than I did Pride and Premeditation, which is crazy because, you know me, I'm a Pride and Prejudice girly, but I do love Sense and Sensibility. I liked the twists that they did with the girls here, and like having Eleanor be kind of a chemist and Marianne being a kind of detective character, and Margaret just, I love that Margaret got to be more involved, because that's the one thing about Sense and Sensibility, that Margaret's just kind of a footnote, you know, and I like when retellings actually make her part of the plot, and I found that very fun. I was kind of shocked at what they did with Willoughby. That was interesting, but also like, yes, get it. I liked the twist of like who the villains were, and my favorite moment, a book finally gave me the argument that I wanted. When there's a really shitty character and that character needs to be screamed at for how ridiculous they are, I got that moment. And I was so happy. I felt the vindication. I get tired of main characters taking the high road and stuff, and I'm like, no, let's be petty. Let's yell at them. And we got that. And so I was really happy about that. Yay! I liked this one more. Again, 4.5 overall. Fantastic time. Cool! There we go. That is the reviews for this month. Let's go on to the stats. But I gotta chug first. Let's go to the data. Data, data, data. Data, data, data. Welcome to the stats. To the statty stats. So like I said, we read 18 whole books this month, totaling to a slightly scary number of 6,667 pages and 140.5 hours listened via audiobook. We read 2 indies, 1 own voices. We started 3 series and continued 6. Woo! I didn't complete any, but we continued 6, so I'd say that's a win. That's a good win. On average, we read, on average per book was about 370 pages, and then pages per day was about 215. Average hours on audio was 7.81. It took me about 3.78 days to read a full book, so that's one of my slower months. And then 3.64 was our average rating. Not the worst, but not the best. We did read 11 audiobooks, 1 ebook, which was Sofonisba, and that took me literally 20 days to read. But again, I liked that book a lot. I just struggle with ebooks. I read 3 paperbacks and 3 hardcovers. Woo! With this, now you'll see there's a bigger chunk of Audible, and I'm usually very anti-Audible, but there was no way I was going to finish this TBR this month if I didn't use some Audible credits. But mostly predominantly Libby with 6. 2 from Scribd and 2 from Audible, and 1 was the author PDF, which was the Sofonisba. But yeah, I ended up cracking and doing some Audible just to get through the month. I read The Depths and Unbirthday were both on Audible because neither Scribd nor Libby had them. For our breakdown, we are almost pretty even. We had 8 adult, 9 young adult, and 1 middle grade. So middle grade sneaking in there this month. The genre breakdown is very diverse this month. Nobody really dominating. We had 2 urban fantasy, 2 fantasy romance, 2 contemporary romance, and 2 horror. Everything else was really 1. So that was pretty awesome there. With our ratings, again, we had 1 1-star, 2 2.5, 4 3s, and 7 4s, 1 4.5, and 3 5-star reads. So again, the 4s always dominate. We read mostly novels, so 16 novels and 2 anthologies. We had 1 debut author, 10 that were new to me, and only 7 repeat authors, which is really 6 because Brando Sando was on here twice. So really it's 6 repeat authors, but one of them is repeated twice. With our representation, not great. We only had 3 that were queer main characters, 5 with queer side characters, and then 10 with queer absence. With disabilities, though, we had 6 disabled main characters, 1 with a disabled side character, and then 9 without. Predominantly read books written by women. 15 of those were women and 3 were men. In the character genders, we had 9 that were only women, and then 7 that were men and women, and only 2 had just men, male POVs. Our nationalities were not very diverse this month, with predominantly being American, 14 Americans, 4 British, and 1 Canadian. With our settings, we had a bunch in the fictional lands, 7 in fictional lands, 4 in the US. We had 2 that were the entire world because it was all over the place. 1 in Italy, 3 in England, 1 in space or other planets, and then 1 in Japan. With our publishers, Penguin took the lead this month with 7 from Penguin, 1 from Hachette, 2 from HarperCollins, 3 from Simon & Schuster. Wow, Simon & Schuster beat HarperCollins. 3 from Macmillan, 1 self-published, and 1 small press. For their publication years, we did read 4 that were brand new releases, 2 from last year, none from 2021 though, 5 from 2020, 4 from 2015 to 2019, 1 from 2010 to 2014, and 1 from 2000 to 2009, and then 1 from 1900s in the 1900s to 1989, which was Mandy. She was 1971. Acquisition-wise, though, we read a ton that I acquired this year. We had half the books I read this year half the books I read this last month were from this year, and then we read 5 that I acquired last year, and 4 that I acquired in 2020, and that's it for those. Predominantly, who was the biggest chunk here? We're pretty even on distribution here. 3 were gifted. That's the #1 this month. And then 2 from Book Outlet, 2 from Pango, 2 from Facebook, 2 from Amazon, 2 from Barnes & Noble. And then we had some direct from the author, Owl Crate, Convention, Target, 2nd & Charles. Pretty even. And finishing us up, we had $154.11 spent on all of the books, totaling or averaging about $8.56 per book. And that, I don't know, this is a weird angle, but this is where we're at. Okay. We have a very limited amount of time to film this because we are on a sprint. Hi, it's time for the haul. I got a ton of books. Don't blame me. You can, I don't care. I just did, okay? It happened. There was a lot of sales that happened this month, and I'm not gonna apologize for it. That's it. So the first one we have is The Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. The Gospel of Loki by Joanne Harris. The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook. Pride and Puppies by Lizzie Shane, which I didn't realize is like the 4th in a series, but I don't care because I think they can all be read separately. Son of a Storm by C. Davies Okungboa. I hope I said that name right. Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman. Ace Voices by Eris Young. The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Brandon Sanderson. City of Mages by Kirsten Michelle and A.J. Cerna. Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. Unchosen by Catherine Blair. Okay, this one I'm actually really super proud about. I got this for $3 and it's a special edition. Year of the Reaper by Makia Lucier. Makia Lucier, I can say it right. We Deserve Monuments by Jas Hammond. Neon Gods by Katie Robert. Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. Blood Marked by Tracy Dion. I'm actually going to be reading that right now. I'm the Girl by Courtney Summers. The Rhythmatist by Brando Sando. Wolf Song by TJ Klune. Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. I'm going to give her another shot. Samurai Rising, The Epic Life of Minamoto Yoshitsune by Pamela S. Turner, illustrated by Gareth Hines. Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. The Sky is Yours by Chandler Klang-Smith. We have the entire Modding Fairy Tales. This is Tithe, Valiant, and Ironside by Holly Black, all in one bound copy. Enemy of the World by Road Warrior. The House of Always by Jen Lyons. It's the 4th one, but it was during that page sale thing and that was cheaper to do it. Seraphina by Rachel Hartman. The Erstwhile by B. Catling. Didn't realize this was a sequel. Then we also got more sequels. Wicked Beauty and Electric Idol by Katie Robert because it was the page sale. A People's Future of the United States. All these stories that are edited by Victor Lavelle and John Joseph Adams. Speculative fiction. Red Clocks by Lenny Zumas. The Singles Table by Sara Desai. More sequels because that sale, everyone had sequels. Arm of the Sphinx and the Hod King by Josiah Bancroft. Oh my gosh, we're getting there. More sequels. Victory of Eagles and Tongues of Serpents by Naomi Novik for Temeraire. Bring Me Their Hearts by Cyril Wolfe. Damsel by Evelyn Skye. Ander and Santi Were Here by Johnny Garzavilla. The Shadow of Perseus by Claire Haywood. The Bandit Queens by Parini Sharaf. Clytemnestra by Costanza Casati. Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey. Well, That Was Unexpected by Jessie Q. Sutanto. Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker. The Keeper 6 by Kate Elliott. 10 minutes 38 seconds in This Strange World by Elif Shafak. I'm so sorry. I don't know the right name. The Merciless Ones by Nemina Forna. Wretched Water Park by Kirsten White. Briarheart by Mercedes Lackey. Eternally Yours edited by Patrice Caldwell. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Sea Sparrow. Finally a paperback copy of Sea Sparrow by Kristen Kishore. I've literally just been waiting this so I would have all matching copies. Forestborn by Elaine Audrey Becker. Saint by Adrian Young. I'm sorry if I keep cutting everything off. This is a weird angle we're at today. Belle Morte by Bella Higgin. The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons, the actual first book, and I didn't mean to get it in hardcover. The Late Mrs. Willoughby by Claudia Gray. The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich by Dea Muniz. Jara, S.J. Jones. I've already read this book, but now it's finally out because I read an art copy and I'm happy. Now I have it! A Wolf for a Spell by Kara Sutton. Starbringer by Tracy Wolf. Don't worry, there are vlogs. There are reasons for some of these. Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. A Show for Two by Tasha Bouillon. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm horrible. Mirror Girls by Kelly McWilliams. We're getting there. I swear to God, we're getting there. The Fairy Loots. Here are the Fairy Loots this month. We have Forged by Blood by Ehigbor Oxen, which they say this is the adult, but this is also shelved as young adult. So, and then the young adult is Bonesmith by Nikki Powell Preto, which, yo, Beautiful! Foxglove by Adeline Grace. Faye Queries by Zia Williams McKean. This is an indie. Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutanto. The Midnight Kingdom by Tara Sim, one of my pre-orders. However, it's only coming out in paperback, and then after I bought it, Fairy Loots was like, here's the special edition hardcover, and I'm like, God dang it. Live, Laugh, and Kidnap by Gabby Noon. Accidentally Buying Sequels Again, The Stolen Prince of Cloudburst by Jacqueline Moriarty. Devout, an anthology of angels edited by Quentin Lee, but it features my friends. Well, one of my friends and one that I say is my friend, but I've never met them. I've only chatted with them online. Deal with an Elf King by Elise Kova. Yes, a vlog. Forestborn by Shannon Hale. Is it weird that I have two books called Forestborn in the same one? And the very, very, very last book that we have is The Queens of Innis Lear by Tessa Grattan. Now I have the first one when I accidentally bought Lady Hotspur first. And that's the haul, people. It's a lot. I have to pull a bird out from under a bookshelf now. Da, 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 da. We did it. That's it. How did you guys do in August? How was your reading month? Let me know. I feel like for a lot of people, August was really rough. Other reviews that I've seen go around, other wrap-ups, everyone seems to have struggled this month, so I don't feel as bad as I could, but it wasn't that bad. Nice times. Cool. I'm gonna go now. See you all later. If you're doing Create-a-thon stuff, see you on streams. Go Create-a-thon. Go Team Fafo! Mambo. 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 Stop it. Mambo, don't chew on that. Mambo. No. Come here. Come here. No. Get out from under the bookshelf. Mambo. Oh my God. She found a hidey hole. What are you doing in there? You need to come out. Mambo. Come out. I didn't know that was a space I would need to block off from you, but apparently it is. Hey, I'm getting the tribble. Go get it. Go get the tribble. Come on.